Shark Wheel electric board. And this is a boosted board. And today, I'll be comparing them head to head. Gonna go ahead and get cozy here, because I might be here a while. Let's get into some of the specs. So they have their numbers posted up on their website, but I don't really care. I want the real numbers. So for my own personal use, the Shark board has a max speed of about 26 miles per hour, a little generous. It gets up there. Boosted board has a top speed of 22 miles per hour. So the Shark board is a little bit faster, although there's a little bit of caveat to that. As explained in my range test video, it seems to lower its top speed 8 miles in, so it doesn't always hold that in it. So the Shark wheel has a pretty impressive 15-mile range. This also beats the boosted board, as the boosted board has about a range of 12.5 miles. Note, these are ranges calculated on my own use. So this is using the board at the high speed level, and I would say pretty average, just braking and acceleration. It's more your realistic number. If you were to ride the boosted board slower on a slower mode, you'd get better range, and I'm guessing the same thing with the Shark board. If you were curious about acceleration speed and braking speed, here's my comparison, side by side, using my drone. Here in the acceleration, they're both starting from the same line. See that the boosted does have a slight better acceleration than the Shark board, but the Shark board eventually will catch up with its higher speed. Something to note is the Shark board has a jerkier start. Here in the braking test, I have the boards come in at approximately the same speed, stopping once they get to this line. The boosted board does have about a 10 feet better braking, and it has a way sharper brake than the Shark board, as you can see right there. Boosted board's got better build quality. On the Shark wheel, the deck, the trucks, the wheels are all good. They feel great, they seem durable. Typical skateboard hardware, feels good. I wouldn't expect less because they are a skateboard company after all. But when you get to their electronics, that's where they start to get a little The battery feels a little cheap. I mean, not the greatest feel. And the remote, not their best. Feels pretty cheap. Not so great. In terms of longevity, I don't really know about the Shark board. It's new, hasn't been tested, can't say. The boosted, however, has plenty of evidence of it lasting for miles and miles and miles. My favorite hardware component though is actually those Shark wheels. Like, those wheels are awesome. Those are probably the highlight of the board, and they make the board. Ideally, we put Shark boards on the boosted board, and I think you can. You might be able to, I need to look into that. But that would be an awesome combination if you do that. Talking about the remote specifically, besides just build quality, the functionality of the Shark wheel board is pretty poor. It has a digital screen, but it just really doesn't do any use. It has miles per hour, but that number isn't accurate. It has battery levels, but the battery levels are always way off. The level fluctuates, and it's not really an accurate representation of where it's at. The boosted board, however, doesn't have a screen, but it has a very functional, simple user interface. It just has 5 lights that light up, and it shows the different battery levels by not just 20%, but it also blinks, so it actually goes by 10% increments. And those increments are accurate. So 10% increments gives you a pretty good gauge on where you're at with your range. And it just has one button, changes all your modes, and turns on the remote. All you really need. It has a very long wheel, which controls your acceleration and braking. And being such a long wheel, it gives you nice increments so you can smoothly accelerate and smoothly decelerate. Shark board, on the other hand, has a very small and super sensitive remote. Because of this, it gives really bad issues in acceleration and deceleration and braking in general. It's probably the weakest point of the Shark board is the remote. The Shark wheel lacks smoothness in the acceleration and braking. When you accelerate, it starts with a hard kick, and then it eases up in its acceleration. The boosted board, given you have a lot more control in your remote, you can slowly raise it up, and even if you go full throttle, it's not kicking off the board in a good way, not because it's not accelerating fast. The braking with the Shark wheel is it's not great. It's very sensitive, and it's hard to brake slowly. It actually brakes fine if you 100% pull down on the throttle and you want to come to a complete stop. But if you want to, per se, go down a hill and cruise, so say you're going 25 miles per hour going down the hill and you just want to lower your speed to like 18 miles per hour, you wouldn't be able to do it on the shark board. I think of the shark wheel braking as an all or nothing. It does really good if you want to come to a complete stop, but anything in between, it's really hard to get there. That's where the boosted board really excels. It has such good feel in the remote that you can just gently pull back on the throttle and it'll just lower your speed a little bit as you go down a hill. Or if you're coming around a corner and you just want to slowly decelerate as you're turning, it's just really confident and really comfortable to brake on the boosted board. And I think this is more realistic because generally when you're cruising around, you're either like slowly slowing down or coming down around a turn. You're rarely coming to a complete stop except at the end of your ride. So it's important that you can incrementally brake. Boosted board kind of wins in terms of the ride because I can go out on a leisurely ride and not have to worry about my acceleration or braking. I can just be comfortable whether I want to go fast or whether I want to cruise a little bit slower. When I'm on the shark board, I have to be a little bit more attentive. I kind of have to be a little bit more on edge worrying about it. I can't be nearly as laying back or else I'm worried I'm going to get kicked off my board. And just having that extra tension, that kind of just is annoying to ride sometimes, even though it does have a longer range and it goes a little bit faster. And that's enjoyable, but it's annoying that I always have to be on edge with my board. However, when you are moving, the shark board does really well. The deck feels really nice. I'm a big fan of it. It's a stiff deck as compared to the boosted's flexi deck. I mean, I don't really have an opinion on that. That's subjective. But the deck feels good, and the wheels is, once again, the key part of this board. The huge 95mm shark wheels are so smooth. They roll over rocks like nothing, and bumps feel nothing. Not to say that the boosted board doesn't excel on bumps, but man, those shark wheels really do change your ride. It's so smooth and it kicks any debris out. Huge win for that. I mean, if I'm just gunning it and there's not really any places where I need to slow down much, the shark board feels amazing and is a joy to ride. But it's just, I think in more realistic situations, if like you got a lot more turns or you're navigating in traffic, I would not trust myself to navigate through traffic in shark board. It's just too risky. I can't trust myself on that. I feel so much more confident on the boosted board, and that plays to its overall experience. If I can't be confident on a certain board, it kind of limits the amount of times I want to use the shark board if I'm only limited to open, wide streets. People are still looking for that next board that's going to be better than boosted board. Unfortunately, I don't think the shark wheel's there. Now, it does have some really great stuff going for it. The deck, the wheels, and the speed and range, that stuff's phenomenal. And ideally, if I were to integrate that into a boosted board, that would be for sure better. But unfortunately, with the poor remote and just lack of smoothness, it really limits the experience on the shark board. But with the shark board coming in close to half the price, you can't go wrong with it. It's not a direct comparison because the boosted board is like $500 more, so you get the difference, and that's what you're paying for. Even though the shark board performs a little bit better on paper, you can't really put a price on smoothness and the experience. That's where the boosted board comes in. It might not boast the best specs, but it boasts the best build quality and user experience. That smooth ride and confident control in the controller, that's what makes that thing kick. And the longevity too, but yeah, those are my thoughts on the board. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. I'll make sure to answer them. And still, in the end of the day, these things are so fun to rip on. So if you're considering buying an electric board, I can guarantee you it's worth the money. You're gonna have so much fun on it, regardless of which board it is. So yeah, that's my review. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe. That really helps me out. And check out my other videos on the shark board. I have the range test and the actual in-depth review if you want more specifics on the board. But yeah, thanks for watching. And if you made it this far, it's pretty cool. Not everyone does, so thanks. Thanks. See you next video. Bye. And the light changed so much.